She stood under the lights, metals gleaming, my work on her lips. Applause filled the command hall. Clean, loud, blind. I watched from the second row, hands folded, pulse steady. My sister smiled when she said my name, not to credit me, but to erase me. "You don't belong on this stage," she whispered as she passed. Just loud enough. I didn't react. That was the first mistake everyone made. Because betrayal is loud when you fight it. Revenge works best when you let it breathe. We grew up in the same house, trained in the same system, bled for the same flag. She was louder. I was sharper. She learned how to be seen. I learned how to disappear. Back then, we shared notes, tactics, late-night simulations. She trusted me because I never chased praise. I trusted her because she was blood. That trust aged poorly. When Command reassigned me to the mission, she congratulated me with a hug that lasted 1 second too long. Her hand lingered near my terminal. I noticed. I always notice. The mission file wasn't just data. It was my mind mapped into strategy. Every risk weighted, every failsafe layered, and one thing no one else knew. I watermark everything. Not visibly, not digitally obvious. Behavioral signatures. Decision patterns. Timing sequences embedded where only the author would think to look. I learned that trick after my first mentor vanished under suspicious circumstances. He taught me to never leave clean fingerprints. Only echoes. The first sign wasn't the theft. It was her confidence. She stopped asking questions, started giving answers that sounded like me. Then I saw the access log, a 3-second window. My sister's clearance piggybacked off mine. Sloppy. She assumed I'd confront her. She assumed wrong. I didn't lock the file. I updated it. I modified one contingency. Not enough to fail the mission, enough to expose the mind behind it. Then I waited. 3 days later, she stood on stage, delivering my plan like it was scripture. She didn't stumble. She didn't hesitate. Command loves confidence. They promoted her on the spot. Pinned the insignia. She smiled at me again. That was when I knew she hadn't read it closely enough. 72 hours later, an analyst flagged an anomaly. Not a breach, a behavioral inconsistency. The mission executed perfectly, except for one decision that contradicted her historical profile. Too precise, too me. Internal review started quietly. They always do. I was called in last. Not as a suspect, as a reference. They asked if I recognized the structure, the logic, the sequencing. I told them the truth. That's my signature. Silence has weight when it drops in a room full of trained killers. They brought her in. No cuffs, just questions. She denied everything. With confidence. But confidence cracks when you don't understand the system you're trapped in. They showed her the decision tree, the watermark, the embedded failsafe that only triggers when the author is bypassed. Her face shifted, just slightly. That was enough. I saw her later in the corridor. No rank, no escort. Just a woman realizing she'd underestimated the wrong person. "You set me up," she said. "No," I replied. "You stole unfinished work." She laughed, brittle. "You could have warned me." I met her eyes, calm, clear. "You already told me I didn't belong on that stage." The investigation didn't ruin her career. It erased it. Command doesn't forgive internal compromise, especially not between blood. She lost clearance, then trust, then relevance. I got reassigned. Higher, quieter. People think revenge is loud, that it needs blood or screaming or witnesses. They're wrong. Real revenge is documentation, timing, letting someone destroy themselves using your tools. I don't hate my sister. Hate is inefficient. I learned something better. I learned that silence is not weakness. It's preparation. That the most dangerous person in the room is the one who isn't fighting for attention. And that when someone steals your voice, you don't raise it. You let it echo in places they can't escape. I didn't take her place on that stage. I took the system she tried to cheat, and I made it remember my name.